Why review a guitar, based on what other people have said? You've not even played it.
Well, it wasn't a review video, and look, I know sometimes musicians just aren't the sharpest tool in the shed, but how do you guys not know the difference between a product review and an op-ed, or more specifically, an opinion piece? Yeah, I always thought that it was supposed to be Squier by Fender. The problem is that they put a Fender logo on a guitar that does not live up to the moniker of the quote-unquote standard in any way. It's like if New York pizza was made with crickets instead of pepperoni. And then it's like me proceeding to tell you why I have no interest in ever trying that. That has everything to do with Fender trying to convince us that it's something that it's not. What's up everyone, I'm Guy, and I wanted to do a quick video following up on my last one because there was a ton of comments and there was a ton of arguments as well, and I wanted to address some of those comments and to clarify a few things that I thought were perfectly clear the first time around, but apparently I gave some people too much credit because a bunch of these guys don't have two brain cells to rub together. Now, if you didn't see it, I did a discussion covering the new Fender Standard guitar that was released last week at NAMM 2025, and while I didn't think my opinions or my commentary on that guitar were too critical, I was pretty clear that I was not a huge fan of it. Nevertheless, a lot of people did of course agree with me, but a bunch of others got more than a little bit bent out of shape, to say the least, with my thoughts and my opinions on that guitar. So with that said, let's jump into some of those comments that the people left, and I will expand on the things that I thought they were addressing.
Fender by Squier.
Yeah, man, that hadn't occurred to me, and that's pretty funny. Yeah, I always thought that it was supposed to be Squier by Fender, but in the case of the new Fender Standard, you might just be right. It might be Fender by Squier. Who would have seen that coming?
Terrible review. These specs are almost identical to the made in Mexico Standard from the 90s.
First, the video was not a review. Try and understand that. I know it's hard, but I have faith in you. I think you can do it. Second of all, if your justification for this Fender Standard is that it's similar to the way that they used to make them over 30 years ago, I have to say that is some next level, dumbass fanboy mental gymnastics. Fender taking a 30-year step back is somewhat of a problem, at least in my opinion. And we're not talking about a step back, in a good way. We aren't talking about making vintage reissues here. We're talking about things like lower quality wood, less desirable pickups, and potentially less quality control, at least based on my experience with Asian-made guitars, and in particular Indonesian-made guitars. Yeah, they do make good ones, but they make a lot of bad ones too. But anyway, that's not even the problem, or the point of what I was trying to get across, which a lot of you dingbats completely missed. I said it doesn't seem like a bad guitar, and in fact it seems like a pretty good guitar, much like a Squier CV. The problem is that they put a Fender logo on a guitar that does not live up to the moniker of the quote-unquote standard in any way. And you guys who are defending that are, I have to say, the truest definition of brand myopic fanboys that I have ever seen. And listen, that's coming from a fan of the brand that owns no less than 4 guitars from Fender and its subsidiary companies.
Who really likes them? The guys who are selling them.
Yeah, it's funny how all of the people with a financial interest in these guitars seem to be the ones singing the praises, and the lifelong fans of the brand are the ones that are kind of speaking out against it. Yeah, that is kind of funny, isn't it?
I've never had New York pizza before, but here's why it's the worst pizza on the planet.
No, my negative critique of a guitar that I've never played is nothing like claiming New York pizza is terrible despite never having tried it. Here's what it's like for the simpletons amongst you. It's like if New York pizza was made with crickets instead of pepperoni. And then it's like me proceeding to tell you why I have no interest in ever trying that. And look, maybe I'm wrong. I mean, maybe crickets taste like pumpkin pie, but I'd never know because I'm not eating the motherfuckers. I don't need to try it to know that I don't like it. And similarly, I can give my opinion on a new guitar without trying it as well, because A, I know enough about guitars in general, and B, I know enough about myself and what I like to be sure that this is absolutely not the guitar for me. And like I said before, it has nothing to do with the sum of its parts. It has everything to do with Fender trying to convince us that it's something that it's not.
They could have just called it the Fender Substandard.
Ha! The Fender Substandard. You, sir, need to get a job in the marketing department of a major guitar manufacturer because your ideas are absolute gold.
Clicked away after hearing the first 25 seconds. What kind of recommendation are these if people don't even review firsthand?
So if you stopped watching after 25 seconds, how the f do you know what I did and didn't recommend? And I mean, to be fair, at the end of the video I did make a recommendation of buying something from any other brand other than Fender, but I didn't need to play this guitar to make that recommendation. That recommendation is based on the general distaste that I have for Fender making a guitar with low cost and entry-level parts and then calling it the Standard. If they had called it literally anything else, I probably wouldn't have given a shit about this guitar one way or the other. But if the Standard is now a made-in-Asia guitar with a Laurel fingerboard and ceramic pickups, that's a pretty low fucking bar to set for the Standard, isn't it?
Sorry, but it's not worth the $600 asking price. You can find better quality guitars at a better price.
And that hits the nail on the head right there. For $600 you can probably get better guitars and probably pay less money for those guitars as well. But Fender is setting an unreasonable price for something that isn't necessarily a bad guitar, but it's not worth what they're asking. And then they have the audacity to suggest that it sets the standard for what a Fender guitar should be.
If you don't buy into wood making a difference, why should these be made out of a certain wood?
So yeah, I said I don't buy into the tone wood debate or believe that wood a guitar is made out of really matters in terms of the sound, at least when it comes to solid body electric guitars. Then this dipshit tries to pull the gotcha card on me because he didn't bother to listen to anything else in the fucking video. Again, I will repeat myself for this dummy. The reason I care about the wood that the guitar is made out of is because the standard Fender has set for the Stratocaster is to be made out of alder, and not 4 fucking pieces of it glued together either, 2 pieces. And yes, I know they use other woods from time to time and from model to model, but in general, the standard has been set for decades, and the standard is alder wood for the body. Now, hopefully this troll can crawl back under his bridge. That fucking idiot.
It's a Squire with a $200 logo.
Yes, it certainly does appear that it's a Squire with a $200 decal, and if that's true, that's an insult to the customer. But hey, here's a challenge for Fender. Fender, if you're watching, reach out to me and send me some of these guitars to review. If I'm wrong, and if these guitars are worth the money, and if it does in fact set the standard for what the quality of a Fender guitar looks like, I will get back on YouTube and I will eat a big old piece of humble pie, and I will admit that I was 100% wrong. But for some reason, I don't think Fender is going to take me up on this one.